Okay.
All right, guys. So we are here in the Thrive Conference 2022 at the beautiful standing. So now we
learn what's happening, to get with their colleagues who are in different parts of the industry, to figure out how there can be collaboration, and also figuring out how to collectively move to see shifts in the industry. But when you name a conference a Thrive Conference, you also have the ability to deal with who are we as black men. And when so many of us come from families and communities where our approach was to survive, naming a conference a Thrive Conference is about disrupting a normal way of doing things based on our trauma, based on institutional racism, based on conditioning of many of our communities and schools. So there's an aspirational reality to it as well.
No, definitely. So, and one of the great things about, I feel like in tech in the black community, especially since we've being through a lot is honestly necessary to understand that like tech can actually have an opportunity to pretty much even the playing field as far as like building generational wealth and all that. As a person who is like me, who is necessarily ignorant when it comes to in tech, like what will be like the first steps as far as like getting involved?
Well, I mean, but I think that the jury is still out on, is tech going to be the thing that shifts generational wealth? I mean, because when we're talking about blacks who even have venture-worthy companies, the venture dollars that are going to black founders in tech is vastly dwarfed by that of their white counterparts. There are a lot of brothers in tech who don't even know how to get access to, let alone have a company that's relevant for venture dollars. You're seeing that most of the tech companies are not shifting by way of extreme shifts in more people of color at the executive level, at the board level. So there's a lot that still has to happen before our community truly benefits from, even a lot of the conversations around AI. And the lack of equity that exists in AI. There's a lack of equity in AI because you don't have enough people of color in it.
That's
so
very
the
true.
billions
Okay,
of dollars that are being made in AI or in augmented reality or in virtual reality or in many of these other areas still don't see us at the numbers that we should be. So when you talk about how do we, obviously I think there's a conversation around access at the entry level. There's still so many of us that talk about STEM or STEAM, but there are a ton of kids right now in Baltimore, in the city where I live, or in Cleveland or in Atlanta, that are never going to get a 4-year degree, but they could get a 6-month cert in UI UX. They're not going. They don't have the room to spend 4 years and $150,000 to get a college degree, but they do have the time to get a certification in cybersecurity. So I think it's about changing the expectation about what the trajectory into tech is. And so part of that is stop lying to kids that college is a yellow brick road to success, when there's a reality that there are legitimate certification education programs that can get you into a tech industry and have you making more than anybody in your family has ever made. That's transformational, right? There's also this reality that we have to do a better job of telling black kids what they're good at. And so I know a bunch of kids who may run a corner, but when they're in their 7th grade math class, you got a teacher telling them they don't know math. But they running math on the block, right? They're running math in a side hustle. They're running math over here, but they're being told they don't know math because they don't do well in a geometry course or an algebra course.
I see.
And so shifting these myths about what black kids are good at and not is one of the biggest barriers to how we're creating pipelines from the youngest age possible into tech, where math is important, but the babies know math. They're just being told they don't, right? So I think those are 2 entry-level things. Then I think we have to start talking about how are we challenging, especially companies that make money off of our community, that we won't support companies that don't reflect who we are. And I think we've started to do that in a real way, but I think we need to be a lot more forceful. So I think there are a number of ways that we can turn the tide on this. It's definitely not checkers, it's chess.
Yeah, no, that's actually really interesting. Maybe the representation of where the information necessary is coming from and the encouragement is coming from for our black boys is probably should definitely change, because if they can definitely do what they can do pretty much outside, obviously they have like the knowledge to pretty much do it.
Well, especially generations that have a hustle culture,
Yeah.
because a hustle culture is telling you college is for suckers. And whether that's true or not, because I don't believe that, you've got young people that are saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to run my own business, I want to own my own business. And a certification in one of these tech areas is a way for them to be able to do that very quickly. And trust me, I don't think that's for every kid, whether they're kids on the block or kids that are in high school. But I do think that there are a number of young men and women that don't even know that's an option.
Yeah, no, definitely, man, definitely. But it's a great thing we actually have, like, a conference like this to pretty much show them there are options and there are honestly, ways of education and all that. And I definitely do appreciate your time. If you can give me about maybe like a 30-second, maybe say for instance somebody in your family, right, that wants to get into tech, but they don't necessarily know necessarily where to go, whatever. Like, what encouragement or like what pitch you can actually give them to pretty much to get started with it. What would you tell them?
There really is nothing that we do that isn't connected to tech. And so I think the question is, instead of asking people, do they want to get into tech, it's how is tech changing what they already do? And so if you love sports, where is tech changing sports? Whether it's in data analysis or whether it's in reporting. If you love airplanes, then what is tech doing in that? So because I think people are still driven by what they're passionate about. And sometimes we're talking about tech as if it's a foreign thing, versus it's a tool that's integrated into existing industries to elevate how those industries function. And so if we're talking, I would say to my cousin, what's the thing you love most and how is tech changing it? There's an opportunity for you there.
That's a level of way of like kind of like reverse engineering a little bit. Yeah, no, definitely. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
If you can, if you mind, maybe putting like maybe your Instagram or anywhere people can find you.
Yep.
And like that.
I'm Jeff's Nation on IG. I don't do Twitter.
Okay, cool.
You can find me there.
Cool. My man.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Definitely.